Have you ever heard of a house manager? The first time I heard that term was a few years ago, and I was in a Facebook group for entrepreneur moms, high achieving moms. I don't remember exactly, but somebody shared that she had hired a house manager and was sharing the job description. And it was like eye opening. Like, what the heck is a house manager? I need this in my life. So, if you're not familiar with a house manager, it's typically a part time role that takes on all of the tasks that come with managing a household. It could be grocery shopping, it could be meal prep, it could be laundry. It could be taking cars to get an oil change. It could be taking packages back to the UPS store to be returned, and dozens, if not 100 other things. And so I'm really excited for this episode of our podcast today on the Consistency Corner, the podcast that helps founders and CEOs of brands that serve moms create strategic social media without the burnout. Because I am chatting with Kelly Hubbell, the founder of Sage House. Sage House is a company on a mission to help busy families reclaim their time and energy by building systems at home and outsourcing the parts of daily life that don't have to be yours to carry, because sometimes those things can be done by someone else. Kelly's a mom of three, a former corporate leader, and now a household operations genius. Through her company's recruiting services and her digital tools and systems, she's helped over 650 moms ditch the guilt and finally get the support they need. In today's episode, we unpack what inspired Kelly to start Sage House, which, spoiler alert, she hit burnout too, and then figured out that this was the solution. We talk about why outsourcing the mental load at home is actually a business growth strategy and how systems can free up your energy in ways you didn't know you needed. We also talk a little bit about what's working for Kelly in social media right now, which, fun fact, I found her and asked her to be a guest on the podcast when one of her reels came up in my feed. So she's definitely leaning into organic social media right now. If you've ever felt like you should be able to do it all, we hate that word should, but you secretly wonder if it has to be this hard, this episode is your permission slip to get support and do some things differently. Let's get into our conversation with Kelly. Kelly, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. And before we get into how you help moms reclaim time, I'd love for you to take us back to the beginning. And what was the catalyst moment or what inspired you to launch Sage House?
Oh man. Well, first of all, so excited to be having this conversation with you. So thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm happy to share, like probably many of those who are listening and tune into this. Sage House was born out of my own experience as a overwhelmed mom of three. So I've got three kids, 6, 4, and 2. And my experience was that after we had our second, I was so overwhelmed to the point of like the wheels were coming off the bus. Like I could not keep all of the plates spinning in my household, even though I had full-time childcare. And so the solution that I found to the physical and mental load of managing my household, which was like, I'll fast forward you into, we decided to hire a house manager and family assistant combo role to help us. That was so life changing for me and my family that I launched Sage House to help other families find that kind of support because I really think that as a society, as a culture, we're really missing that support system and that village that families so desperately need. And a year ago, I left my corporate job to go full time on Sage House because it has been so fulfilling to help other families find that kind of support. So long story is my own experience has led me to where I am today.
Yeah. And you made the decision as a family to outsource. And I know when you talk with your customers and your audience, there's a lot of shame and guilt in asking for help. Where do you think that comes from? And, talk to me a little bit about your mission to get rid of that guilt.
Yeah, I mean, that's really like step one. I think I I actually I shot past the starting line when I came to market, actually when I started Sage House, thinking, okay, I found the key to the castle. Like I know the solution and it's every mom needs a house manager. How do I help every mom find it? But to your point, really the first step is overcoming what's been so ingrained in us from the very beginning. And so I think a couple of reasons why we are the way we are. One is right, like our society and culture has told us you can have it all. You can do it all, right? And we've been lied to. That's not the case. And so I think part of it is also we've been told we should be able to do it all as females, as moms, matriarchs. Like, so that overcoming that, I really think is like that first barrier. It's kind of like shame, guilt, all of those feelings that we feel like if we let someone do something else, or we also have like there's a lot of control about that. Like if we're always afraid that someone won't do something the way that we want it done. It's kind of like I feel like it all kind of bundles together. But yeah, I think you bring up a really, really strong point. I talk to my families about this all the time. It's really, really uncomfortable for them
Yeah.
to get out of to even consider asking for help, to even consider what are things that I could take off my plate that don't necessarily need to be done by me, that I could find someone to help me do to manage my household. So I think it's societal. I think it's cultural expectations. I also think it's like what we saw growing up. So I don't know about you, but my mom was like a total do-it-all super mom, like doing it, working as in at the PTA, like just running herself into the ground. And frankly, like it had a negative impact on her health. And like she unfortunately suffered from like chronic illness as a result of not getting enough sleep, not taking care of herself,
Mhm.
like losing herself in motherhood. That I think we're finally saying, thanks. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want us to be a super mom anymore. And I think we're like starting that journey as like motherhood as like a group to say it's okay to ask for help. And like, it's okay to take care of myself and do what's best for me and my family. Because what is best for me is best for my family.
And it's so interesting because if we don't talk about the help that we're getting, then that other mom who's like locked herself in the pantry so she can just have 5 seconds alone, or she's like staying in her car because she just needs a minute, like she thinks she's the only one. She thinks, why is everybody else able to do this? Why is everybody else able to figure this out? And if like I just appreciate people so much who are transparent about the help that they have.
Yeah, we can't keep this under locks anymore. Like it's not a cool secret to have that you have help. It's just the opposite. Like as a leader, like you are a leader in your life. You're a leader with your family. You're a leader in your organization, in your career. And what leaders do best is leaders have a team with them, beside them, behind them, and they know how to delegate and they know when it's time to find more support in their role so that they can do their job better. So yeah, I think to your point, like the comparison culture has to stop. And I think, and that's what I'm actually really starting to see that. Like I'm seeing finally moms are like, being asked, instead of asking moms, how do you do it all? What kind of support do you have?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, that's so true. And I remember the first time I ever heard the term house manager. It was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. And
Yeah, it's new.
it's
This is a new category.
yeah, and somebody shared it in a Facebook group that I'm in of entrepreneurs, and she basically was like, "Hey, I hired a house manager. This was life changing. Ask me all the questions you want." And so many people were like, "Wait, what?
What?
How do I get that?" And so you're right. You have unlocked something that people are absolutely looking for, but they don't maybe know that they're looking for it.
It's so much education right now, Ruthie, because and that is the response and reaction that I typically get when I say house manager. They're like, wait, what? That's a thing? And I'm like, yes, it's a thing. This isn't like for the Kardashians of the world. Like you do not have to be a multi-millionaire billionaire to have
You don't
more
have to
support
be
in
a
your
Downton
house.
Abbey to have a house manager.
Yeah, like it's actually super affordable, attainable. Like, and that's what I'm here. Like, I am truly on a mission to normalize this because, especially for like a dual income working household, if like you have decided this is what we want to do for our family, like, well, it's a give and take. Like, then you can actually find more support to do the laundry, to get the dishes done, to take cars to appointments, to help pick up kids, like to live a very full life. Like what I talk to people about all the time is I'm like, there just aren't enough hours in the day. Like it's nobody's fault. No one, you're not the victim here. It's just to live a super full life, which we all want to live with careers and kids and dogs and houses and cars and vacations. There aren't enough hours in the day. Like I don't know about you. It's like, how are we supposed to exercise and take our vitamins and make our smoothie and file our taxes? Like, we're doing it. I'll tell you, we're multitasking in the hours before we're working and after we're working. When we just really want to be hanging out with our family and connecting with our kids and like going out with our girlfriends. And instead we're like, we have like 1,000 tabs open,
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we start to like audit our time and really figure out like how do we want to be spending it?
Yeah. And you had mentioned that a lot of your clients are entrepreneurs and founders of businesses and might be comfortable with outsourcing within their business, but have this like feeling of, well, I can't invest in my family because I should be investing in the business, or, oh, that just doesn't make sense to get help over there. When really it could free up so much mental capacity that you can grow the business that much faster.
So much mental capacity, as in like I'm no longer thinking about the grocery list and the fact that like I need bananas and eggs and milk all the time, and physical capacity. So it's like, yeah, it's like if you start adding up all the time you're spending folding laundry, running kids around, like doing all of these things, like what if you could, and especially for entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs know I'm building a business. Every minute I'm spending not building this business, it's like not gonna, it's like not gonna get where I want it to get. It's like there's always something to do, right? When you work for yourself, there's always something to do. And so if you could get back 5, 10, 12 hours a week to dedicate to your business, to finally like start going to yoga, or like actually spend a nice calm bath time with your kids when you're not also trying to like clean up dinner and do all these other things. Yeah, it's life changing, and that's why like I find entrepreneurs really leaning into this because they get it. They're like, oh, yeah, is this entrepreneurs think of this not as a cost and not as an expense, but as an investment in themselves, in their family, and in their future.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because you are getting your time back. You are getting your energy back. You are getting your creativity back. But like you had talked about, so many of us think like, I can do it better. I can do it faster. Or that like, oh, if I'm going to delegate, I got to put in the time up front to teach someone how to do it or how to do it right. How do you maybe guide families through that transition?
I love this because you have hit the nail on the head in that it's not just like finding the right person, it's about creating the right systems so that you can, in fact, fully disengage and delegate and manage systems and not people. So even if I dropped Mary Poppins on your doorstep, you'd be like, well, Mary Poppins needs to learn how we do things in my house, right? Like, what's our schedule for laundry? What is our system for feeding the family? Like, when do we make the plan for the week? When do we grocery shop? How do we grocery shop? When do we cook, right? These are what I call home systems.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the piece that makes Sage House and our recruiting services and our company really unique in that we not only help families find the right fit and the right person, but we also help them create those systems. We essentially give a framework for here are the systems that you need to set up, and here's a 30-day onboarding plan for your house manager or family assistant. So they know exactly day one, here's what they can expect. They know exactly what they're going to get. Roles and responsibilities are outlined and agreed upon, and there's feedback loops, and so on and so forth, right? Like having the expectations set up, the roles and responsibilities, and a place that we can collaborate on the systems and the checklist. What has to happen in our house daily, weekly, monthly, seasonally. And then once I have that, and I say, this is the way we run our home, I can fully give it to someone and really feel like I'm not thinking about that anymore. And that is like such an important piece. So I'm glad you brought that up.
And we think we might not have systems for our home, but we do. They're just living in our brains.
Yes, they're living in our brain. And we've got to get them out of our brain because it's the only way to fully delegate them.
Yes.
And get them off of our plate.
This is the exact same thing I see with founders when they are ready to outsource in social media. Their brand lives in their brain. And they might bring on a VA or they might bring on a social media manager. And they're like, this isn't working. This person doesn't get it. Well, that's because your brand is in your brain and they can't read your mind. So like we do, like you do a 30-day onboarding process and set up those systems. We do an onboarding process. We create a brand guide. All of those things are so important.
It's like standard operating procedures, right? Like to your point, why are we good at this? I mean, granted, some of us need more help than others, right? Like, but generally, we are doing a really good job of this, like in our business life, in our corporate life, in our career life. Like, we're really good at standard operating procedures, documenting things, hiring people when we know we need help. But like in our home, especially, we're like, why does that go out the door? It's like, so, for me, it's like, I'm basically taking principles of work and business and how do I generate, a social media marketing plan. It's like, how do I create the house plan?
Yeah.
And then create standard operating procedures and like run your home like a business.
Yeah, for sure. And so speaking of social media, a lot of what you're trying to do with your social media right now is create awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what in terms of creating awareness and getting in front of the right people is working for you right now?
Yeah, I think showing up, right? Consistency and showing up, I would say. And that being said, I work with a fantastic social media manager who thankfully keeps us super organized. But I think it's also just like showing up really authentically. So I think, especially given the topic that I cover, which is like I had a lot of feelings and a lot of hesitancy about launching my business and being really, really public about it in terms of like I knew I needed social media to like spread the word, get it out there, educate people, drive awareness. And I think I was really worried about like what would people think of me? How would people judge me? And when I like was able to understand and get that validation, frankly, from people who found what I was doing and validated it, like, oh my gosh, instead of, I can't believe she has a house manager and is, quote, bragging about it on the internet. Instead, they're like, this is amazing. I need this now. How do I get this? Right. That is like the fuel. So I think it's really like, I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you don't even have to, as a business owner, have to have like this incredible offer. You don't have to have written a New York Times bestseller book. You don't have to even have like a service or a product. Like you just have to have a voice and you just have to use that voice and speak your ideas to people so that you can really like figure out who are you selling to? Like who is your persona and so on. So anyway, I think that's like a long way of answering, but basically like just showing up, being myself, and trying not to get too wrapped up in the judgment and comparison culture, again full circle, on like social media.
Yeah. I'm curious with your social media because this comes up a lot with the in our social media mixer or networking group. We talk through kind of the challenges some people have is that like authenticity of a personal brand versus your company brand. So when you started to build Sage House, how did you kind of decide which one to lean into and what that was going to look like for your business?
Oh, man, this is a really good question. Well, my business started with just me. So it felt like from the beginning, felt like, okay, this business is me. I am the business. I am the brand. It's just me. We are actually at a stage now, since January, we've been seeing a ton of growth and a ton of demand for people who are understanding how they could leverage a house manager and have a more full life. And so as a result, I've hired and I'm building now the business. And so to your point, now it's more about like creating and building a brand that's not just focused around me, but it's focused more around like the solution and the offerings and what we're delivering to the market. So that being said, we're just about to like do a new rebranding and a website. And there have been a lot of changes. I think from the beginning, I'm glad that I did brands when I did as Sage House, like as a sort of more of like a company name versus my own name, because I do think that made it a little bit easier to like expand and grow the business and the brand. But yeah, it is slowly going to be more focused on the company, the brand, the organization versus just me, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And it's an evolution. I think a lot of times people feel really overwhelmed trying to do it all and think like, how could I possibly manage a personal brand and a company brand? But there's conflicting advice on which you should lean into or not lean into. And unfortunately, like so many things in marketing, it depends.
It
So
really
many
does, though. It totally does. Yeah.
so many things about what you're going to do, but know that no matter what you do, you can always shift because there are going to be updates and changes, just like in your household and your family. There's different seasons and different focuses depending upon what's going on in your life.
Yep. No, yeah. I mean, absolutely. If case in point, if you had told me 3 years ago that I would be running a small business helping families find house managers, I would have like literally laughed in your face. And now here I am growing a small recruiting services business and also digital products all around creating better home systems. So life comes at you fast. And what you do is you pivot. And I think that is also super resonates with me what you said just about seasons of life, and especially for my clients, like, coming back to just Sage House and the families that we work with, the most important thing is like you need and you deserve more support. And so it's kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You need it. You deserve it. You are worth it. You are worth that investment. And if anybody tries to tell you you're not, well, you can just kick them to the curb and we're not going to talk to those people. Right.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if somebody is feeling overwhelmed by their to-do list and they're not really sure if outsourcing in their home or in their business is the next right step, what's one action you think they could take today to help them just like know which path to go down?
Yeah, I have the answer. The answer is you can go to my website and take a free quiz. And I've got a couple of free resources. One is a quiz, and that by answering a simple 8-question quiz, it will show you how many hours a day, a week, and a year you are spending managing your household. Step one, go and look at the way you're spending your time, how much time you're spending. I think that will be really eye-opening for you. And I think that's a good first step in just starting to have that conversation with yourself, with your partner. Is this the way I want to be spending my time? And as a result of taking that quiz, we give you ideas for 100+ tasks that you could outsource. So we've done the hard work for you. The other thing is for those people who maybe have support like a nanny or an au pair or parents and need better systems, or you just hire someone on your own. You're like, I don't really need you to find me a house manager, but I do need those systems. We have a home systems digital course and a platform with a framework that you can customize templates for your household on my website. A lot of different resources, but really like the first start is like go figure out how much time, what are all the invisible things you're doing and how do we make them visible? And then let's start to think about how do we look at your budget and how do we back into, where and how to get you more support.
Yeah. Your budget, your time, and also your energy. Like, what are those tasks that you're like, I would rather go to the dentist than do that, or get a bikini wax than do that, or insert any other uncomfortable thing.
Yep. I think every family is a little bit different. It's like some people are like, I just cannot make dinners every night anymore. Like I'm burnt out on making dinners for my family. Whereas other people are like, yeah, well, if someone else takes over the laundry, the grocery shopping, all these other things, and like I would delight in making dinner every night, right? Like it just totally depends on you as a family and a person. Like, what do you enjoy? What do you not enjoy? Like, what could you take off your plate? What do you want to add to your plate? Like,
yes, that's so true. Of like, I would maybe make more elaborate meals, or I maybe would plan a birthday party with more decorations or this or that if I had something else taken off my plate. That's a really good piece of advice, is just to kind of think about what are the things that maybe you're not doing that you wish you could be doing. Yeah. Well, this has been an eye-opening conversation, and I think you've given us a lot of great things to think about. We've got my Sage House linked in the show notes, so you can go take a look at that quiz, which I think is genius to start there. But we're going to wrap up with a couple of rapid-fire questions just to get to know you a little bit more. So my first one is, what are you currently reading?
Oh my gosh, I just started reading The Wedding People
Ooh.
And it is, I think it came out last summer, so I'm a little bit late to the game, but it is so hilarious. If you need sort of like a quick, like a funny, easy read called The Wedding People, really, really good, really hilarious. I was reading the A Court of Thorn and Roses series, and I got through book 4, but like I just kind of needed a break from it, so I just started reading The Wedding People. Love it, so good.
Yes.
Go read it.
I read the first Court of Thorn and Roses, and same thing. I finished the first one, and I was like, I need like a palate cleanser or something.
Yeah. I need a palate cleanser. That's perfect. This book is a palate cleanser. So good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what are you currently watching?
You're gonna laugh at me because we don't watch a lot of stuff in my household. Like I am a real early bird. I get up really early to start working, and so I go to bed really early. So when my kids go to bed, I usually go to bed pretty quickly. But we are slowly making our way, crawling through White Lotus, my husband and I, because we get in the sauna together every night. The kids go to bed, we get in the sauna, and we can only watch for as long as like until we're overheated. So it's like we really only get like through like 20 or 22 minutes, which is like a third of an episode. So honestly,
Yeah,
we're crawling through it, but like it's so good. I'm on the edge of my seat, and I push myself to my absolute sauna limit every night.
that's a great way to keep that sauna habit
I
going, for
know.
sure. I love it. All right. What do you love to listen to? Whether podcast, playlist, what do you pop in your earbuds?
Oh man, I kind of cycle between podcasts, Audible, like I'm always listening to sort of like I always read for pleasure, like books, like real physical ones, but then I'm always sort of like listening to entrepreneur stuff, parenthood stuff. Dr. Becky, I think, is like on my Audible right now that I'm listening to her book. But then like for fun, I'm such a Swiftie. I love Taylor Swift, and like I just mainly listen to her on Spotify because I don't get to listen to a lot of my own music. Usually my kids request Thomas the Train story time whenever we're in the car together. So like if I'm solo in the car, it's Taylor.
Yes, when your phone, your Spotify starts to build playlists around kid music, you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's time for me to create a couple of my own playlists. Yeah, I love that. All right. What is one thing that you do to re-energize yourself? Like outside of sleep?
Oh gosh, I feel like just like fitness and exercise has been a huge anchor in my life. So running, and then I would say like yoga is really revitalizing for me. And then also just like going out with my girlfriends. I have this really good solid group of mom friends, and we try to go out to dinner or get together at someone's house and drink wine at least once a month. And that is like soul filling.
Yes, it is. Those are the things that we tend to take off of our calendars in those seasons of busyness, but I don't think we give enough credit to how much energy those relationships and that connection can give us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so important. It's like a lifeline.
Yeah.
Keep that.
For sure, for sure. All right, and last question, is there another mom brand founder or solution that helps moms that you would want to shout out of like, oh my gosh, people need to know about this?
Oh my gosh, yes. The first thing that comes to mind is Kelly Nolan, another Kelly. She does time management for ambitious working moms and just professionals, honestly, not necessarily moms, but she is really incredible. I feel like she and I are like internet friends. We met on Instagram, and she's been almost like a mentor to me. And she's just like a lovely human being. And I just feel like she is not only helping so many people, but I find that she is just a quality human. So I love following her. I love her content. I love the ideas she has for managing time and energy and how to do that in our busy world. So go follow Kelly Nolan. Yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, this was so good. I'm so glad we got to connect around the solution that you are providing, which is so desperately needed, and talking a little bit about how social media is working for you. And I loved your recommendations. So thank you so much for being here. We definitely will put the link to your website in the show notes so everybody can go take the quiz. And then where's your social media platform of choice? Where do you mostly hang out?
I'm mostly on Instagram at My Sage House on Instagram. House is spelled Haus. And then I'm on LinkedIn too, actually, a little bit more these days. So you can find me Kelly Hubbell on LinkedIn. Those are really the places.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for being here, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
Wow. Wasn't that such a great eye-opening conversation? I love how Kelly breaks down the idea that outsourcing at home isn't a luxury, it's a strategy. And whether you're hiring a house manager, setting up a laundry system, or just getting your grocery list out of your brain and on paper, the goal is the same: more peace, more presence, and more space for the things that matter most, that truly light you up. If this conversation spoke to you, head over to Kelly's website at mysagehouse.com to take her quiz and see how much time you're really spending managing your home. I'm guessing you're going to be surprised because we don't add up the little minutes here and there and the multitasking that we're doing and the, cracks of time that we're fitting those tasks into. And while you're there, also check out her digital tools to help you create systems that actually stick so that just like outsourcing in your business, you get things out of your brain and on paper so you can set someone up for success who's going to help you. You can connect with Kelly on Instagram at mysagehouse or on LinkedIn, which are both linked in the show notes. And if you're ready to take something else off your plate or your to-do list, like social media marketing, you know where to find me. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a business friend who is also carrying too much, because helping each other out by sharing resources is truly the way that we are all going to make lives better for the moms that we serve.